NPP MP withdraws urgent question about the heavy death toll on N1 highway. Did he bow to pressure from his party?
I didn't even know anything about this. Was it yesterday that we're having a pre-sitting meeting with the speaker and the deputy whip brought a signed letter to be transmitted to the speaker? I read it for the first time. I'm just handing it over to the speaker. I had no idea.
The MP's moral authority to ask questions of the roads minister had been questioned since the NPP MPs boycotted the ministerial vetting. Tonight, we hear the views of his constituents on his decision to withdraw an urgent question on their behalf.
This top story with Evans Mensah.
Top story is brought to you by Bond Financial Services, your success, our passion. Belaka Mineral Water, the new generation mineral water. It's also brought to you by Blue Rose Limited, Shelter for All, as well as Live Boy, still 100% better germ protection. Scenes from the Okankwe North constituency early this year as residents angered by the death toll on the N1 highway took to the streets to protest and to demand answers. Now, they came up against tear gas and a resolute police force. In January alone, at least 6 of their fellow constituents, including children, had been knocked down and killed by vehicles on the highway, and they wanted answers from their NPP MP, Patrick Boama. Now, well, last week the MP decided to take action. He filed an urgent question on the floor of Parliament directed at the roads minister on behalf of his constituents. But he came up again and he came under severe criticism both from the majority and some members of the minority. The majority had argued that he, like the rest of his MPP colleagues, lacked the moral authority to ask questions of ministers they refused to vet. Now, some minority members were also unhappy the MP posed the question in the first place, fully aware of the party's decision to boycott certain government activity that they deemed will legitimize the president. Well, today, it turns out the MP had decided to withdraw his question, although the roads minister was in Parliament ready with an answer. We will shortly get a reaction from some residents in the MP's constituency. But first, this was the MP speaking about that urgent question a couple of weeks ago. Listen.
I believe this road should not put any technical person in any situation where they will have to commission any further studies. The issues are clear. We need footbridges, we need interchanges or underpasses, and also to provide for the fiscally challenged. Those are things that the average person knows. There's an issue that bothers them. Anytime I go to La Paz, Nyamiche Junction, Akwetema, they all talk about the problem they encounter using the highway. That is why I've taken the necessary steps.
So the question is, what happened? Why did he withdraw that very important question of paramount interest to his constituents? Was it because of the political bashing he received, because of his party's decision to boycott some government businesses? Well, the minority leader, Osechi Mensah Bonsu, claimed today he knew nothing about that urgent question and had certainly not put any pressure on the MP to withdraw that question.
I didn't even know anything about this. Was it yesterday that we're having a pre-sitting meeting with the speaker and the deputy whip brought a signed letter to be transmitted to the speaker? I read it for the first time. I'm just handing it over to the speaker. Because when the person submitted the question to the speaker, I had no idea. I didn't know when he submitted the question to the speaker. And I didn't know when maybe this matter even came up. So That is my response. So there's not been any pressure, as far as I'm aware, on the member or members to withdraw. I think that if a member from the MPP decides to ask any minister any question, the person will not represent the interest of MPP only. I represent the interest of the entirety of my constituents. And that will include NDC, PCP, MPP, PNC, even independent people who supported independent members. I represent the interest of all these people. If I file a question, how would you know whether that question was prompted by maybe an NDC person? How do you know that?
So what do the MP's constituents make of his decision to withdraw that question that would have provided answers to the nagging question of deaths on the N1 highway? Well, we dispatched my colleague Francis Aban to that constituency today to sample the views of the constituents there. Francis, what did you find?
Well, I found out that most of the residents and constituents there at the constituency were particularly angry that their MP did not ask that question on the floor of Parliament today. They were expecting a clear response from the roads minister as to whether these 7 interchanges that they knew should have been constructed will be done, when it will be done, and when they will stop seeing people dying on that section of the N1 highway. Lots of furious people. Others were saying they will march to his residence to register their displeasure and ask him to go back to Parliament and ask that question regardless of the position of the party.
Thank you, Francis. And you mentioned the roads minister. Thankfully, he joins us on the line. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, Honorable Amin Sulemana. Were you in Parliament with an answer?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to your listeners. I was in Parliament. I was asked an urgent question by Honorable Patrick Yaw Boama and another question by Honorable Kennedy Nyako of a King's Withdraw. So I was in Parliament with answers to the questions.
I have in my hands right now the order paper, and for those who are just joining us, this is the question that Mr. Patrick Yaw Boama wanted to ask of the roads minister, who is on the line with us right now. He wanted to ask, and this is captured as urgent question on the order paper of today. He wanted to ask the Minister for Roads and Highways what measures the ministry is putting in place to prevent accidents and also ensure adequate pedestrian safety on the George Walker Bush N1 highway. There was a second question also from another NP. This is an NDC MP also asking the Minister for Roads and Highways what plans the ministry has towards reconstructing the Akin Strait Road at Chiase Roads. Now, if you look at the order paper and turn to the answer segment of that paper, the minister clearly, and it's captured here, his answer to the second question is captured on the order paper. But there's no answer to that first question from the Okankwei North MP. Honorable, were you told why you cannot answer that question?
No, I wasn't told why. I had an answer to the question. Normally, urgent questions in Parliament, you don't put the answers on the order paper. The minister responsible holds the question, the answers. So I was holding the answer. That is the practice in Parliament.
So that explains why it was not captured in the order
question,
paper.
I'm holding the answer to the question. Normally, urgent questions, we don't put the answer on the order paper.
But were you giving any, we'll talk about your answer shortly, but were you giving any official reason why you could not present that question to Parliament today?
Well, when I went to Parliament, I noticed that the minority wasn't in the House, and two members from minority had asked questions of me. When the speaker came and after prayers, after collection of votes, that was the next item on the agenda. And then he indicated to us that he had noticed from the minority that they will be late in coming to the chamber. But subsequently also informed the House that the minority members who had asked the questions had written to him to withdraw the questions, which is not normally the case because the questions were asked and they formed part of the business of the House and it was discussed at the House. So normally such withdrawals could not just return to the speaker. They should have honorably come to the house where they will get on the floor of the house and indicate that they were withdrawing. But the other practice in Parliament is that if you ask a question and you are not there at the time the question should be answered, it's assumed that the question elapses. So that's another thing.
The question was simple. What measures is your ministry putting in place to prevent accidents and also ensure adequate pedestrian safety on the George Walker Bush N1 highway? Just quoting verbatim from this order paper. Yes, it so happens that the minority were not there. You explained that they told you they had withdrawn that question. What was the answer that you had prepared for them?
Well, thank you very much. Just as you said, as the representative of His Excellency the President, who was really elected by the people of Ghana, he owes every Ghanaian a responsibility, and more so whether it doesn't matter wherever we find ourselves or where the road is. Once he's the elected president, whatever that. So as his representative, we had worked around to see, and the answers I would give would be there are a lot of emergency safety improvement works that we have awarded to Michelle Fakol Limited, which immediately will include road line marking, signs for speed restriction, warning signs, box junction markings, provision of pedestrian crossings. Those are emergency things that must be done immediately, safety measures to this. Then along the line, we are also safety works on the N1 George Walker Bush highways. We are downfacing of the entire median to prevent pedestrians from crossing the dual carriageway. Along the line, we also have provision of advanced directional signs that we want to work on, provision of directional arrow markings on the road service, installation of additional warning signs, installation of regulatory signs, provision of directives to channel pedestrians to safer crossing points, provision of 4-number staircases at Atankwa interchange to facilitate the movement of pedestrians from one quadrant to the other. We also have in the pipeline the construction of 5-number steel footbridges at 2-number locations at La Paz and 1-number each at Dakuma, Kwashima, and Lawoshi Junction. Further to these measures, we intend to install Pelican crossing points. That is the traffic lights that are not necessarily meant for just to restrict to stop lorries for pedestrians. We call them Pelican crossing points at La Paz Shuttle Station. This is to allow pedestrians to cross the road safely and reduce the pedestrian crossing fatalities. The Pelican shall be synchronized and will synchronize with the traffic light at La Paz. I think the ministry also intends to collaborate with national security. National security have piloted some solar traffic lights at Kawakudi, Afrikiko, and Nationalism Park. We intend to see how we can source funding to do same at Jowulu, the La Paz, Nyamisha Race Squad, Kwashiman, Awoshi, and the Malam interchange. We think these will all help to minimize the accidents on the road.
So obviously you had an elaborate...
manage that road very beautifully.
Okay, so obviously you had an elaborate answer to that urgent question, both for the NP, on behalf of the constituents. I want to say thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Top Story. That's Amin Suleimana. He's a roads minister. Earlier we told you that the constituents in the Okankwe North area are pretty upset with the decision by their MP to withdraw that urgent question that would have provided these answers you just heard here exclusively on Top Story. Let's hear a bit of what these constituents said when we visited the constituency today.
I feel he's not responsible. That's what I feel. Because if you mean business, we have put you into that position. You go and sit there and you do what you want. Then are you taking us for granted or what? So next time you are not encouraging us to go and vote. Simple as that.
The MP seems not to be concerned about it. And we are urging them to talk about it in Parliament because it's really hurting us. We, the people of La Paz, are crying.
Mr. Buama and Mrs. Lisbeth Seki Seki Lisbeth se sian ya to ani branya sayen ye bebo cho boy e di abamoso because se sian ba bi aduro no niam e koso la pass ya no ye ntiase enye enyan enye.
So that is one of those constituents speaking in the local dialect. Essentially what he's saying is that if this is not addressed, and expressing disappointment with the MP's decision to withdraw that urgent question, they will march again. This is the second time we were hearing that, because earlier you heard that they've actually already marched. There were tear gas thrown, etc. He's saying again that they will march again to demand the answers that they are seeking to the roads challenges that have led this year alone in January to 6 deaths, including children in that particular constituency. We tried to get in touch with the NP. His phones are off. You want to stay with us on Newsnight? We'll try and reach him and ask him the questions why he withdrew, because the minority that says no pressure was brought to bear, and as far as he's concerned, he was not even aware of this urgent question until yesterday when it was brought to his attention. You want to stay with us on Newsnight? My name is Evans Mensah. This has been Top Story.